Today is December 30th, 10:29 p.m. I am so fortunate that I work for a uh, business owner, a restaurant owner who is a devout Catholic. It feels good. It really does feel really, really good. Um, I pray that I provide every means with demonstration that earns the opportunity to return and work there. And when it's time, and when when I am consistently profitable, then I would be so fortunate that they have been so generous in providing me with means for me to perpetuate on this journey. For that, I am forever thankful. Now, it has occurred to me there's a thing called back testing. See, I used to be a test engineer. And I worked as a test engineer, and I have achieved a level of principal engineer for essentially working and getting things done faster and faster and getting things done and doing it every day. In reality, even though I was promoted to a principal engineer, test engineer, the overall concept and the thesis and the philosophy behind testing did not dawn on me until recently. I believe I understand it. I learned this through learning about day trading, and it is this. It is so obvious, but it just never occurred to me because essentially what I was doing was trading equals gambling, and that insatiable appetite of doing something that is superficially gratifying, but that gratification is only skin deep. And that gratification is so powerful that it can go on until I push up the daisies. That's how powerful the instinctual, the humankind, the sin part of the deadly sin part of gambling. And professional day traders talk about the idea of day trading is to focus on the system, not the money. Focusing on the money will block me from knowing even the most simplest things about the day trading world. Now, the philosophy behind that is something called back testing. Now, back testing, why do I do back testing? Back testing is a means to play out my thesis, a setup, through numerous variations of the market condition, such that I do enough, such that when the market opens, then there is a familiarity in the way that the market unfolds intraday. Because I have back tested, I have reviewed, and I have tirelessly gone through practically every aspects of the possibilities of the stock unfolding intraday. When I was a test engineer, there was a company called Microchip, and most likely all companies now do this. Essentially, as a test engineer, instead of being a design engineers have the soft skills essentially required to test their code when they're connecting certain circuitry, designing a certain circuitry, laying it out, and then placing it into fabrication process. But that simulation of functionality requires enormous verification, such as a microprocessor of processing through the pipeline from input to the output of one instruction requires numerous means to make sure that single instruction is processed properly. When a data sheet is manufactured and presented, then the complete functionality that may not be comprehensive, but for the sole purpose of performing within its guidelines, within its guaranteed, within its functional parameters. That means that there has to be coverage, and it is called fault grading. Fault grading causes the design to be tested through comprehensive means, and then that fault grading essentially defines what kind of testing it is, what is the quality of that testing, in order to guarantee that the design is doing what it was designed to do before being placed in hardware, such as a silicon wafer. Now, that's its main functionality, fault grading. So now it comes to day trading. Now, how is that related to day trading? See, the thing is, I have to admit this. Here I am, who has been trading for 17 months, have not done backtesting. Now, for professionals, that is like when somebody says that to a pro day trader, a professional, professionals will say, you're gambling. Essentially, that's what you're doing, because you have not proven, I have not proven whatever I have intensively through certain market conditions. If the fault grading conditions that I have in my brain, the register, the microprocessor, the memory portion of it, rebooting, and the SRAM that has the rebooting feature in the morning, it means that I am ill prepared to perform a highly competent solution backing up my thesis when I day trade. That's what it means without backtesting. That's what it means essentially. That's why paper trading is essentially backtesting. Testing in the background and then finding a solution and then determining the efficacy of my solution in day trading. So when a person who has essentially not backtested, it just means that they are an extreme novice. I admit that I am an extreme novice. So, backtesting, I made a couple videos already about backtesting. It's on a demo. And what I'm doing on these videos is essentially taking the elements that I've learned so far to identify to formulate a setup. Then after formulating a setup, then independently looking at different scenarios and then making trades to determine what the results are. Within these day trading simulations, then the intention backtesting essentially is placing as many variety of solutions that I have in order to cover, like fault grading, the solutions the market is creating each and every day. It is possible when I do 1,000 simulations on one particular type of setup, then it is possible 100, 200 of those simulations may end up essentially doing the same thing, but on a different day. And the solutions then will define the fault grading uh, may be redundant at that point. The reality of this situation is fault grading is attempting to cover as a wider range of possibilities, even the most remote situations. Now, 1987, 1929, recently as the COVID, what is that? 2019? Essentially, right? 2019. So, those are the situations where the market turns extremely volatile, and fault grading that particular situation may essentially be it may be very difficult to simulate, and that type of situation um, would be incredibly difficult to do. So there has to be a higher level of sophistication. So that is the part that maybe sometime in the future, when I am dealing with an enormous amount of financial capital, that might be a consideration that I need to actively pursue. Uh, we're talking about, I mean, if I have $100 in my account, it can be wiped out. It can be easily replaced. It's painful, but it can be easily replaced. However, I'm looking at the future now, right now, and I'm looking outside downtown Main Street, and I think that's the 10th. There is a Christmas light that's still hanging around, even though the Christmas has passed. On the intersection is sparkling like diamonds. So, what I need to do is just cover the most essential and vastly common type of situations within those constraints. I can only identify that by running numerous backtests. And then what I will see is that certain situations will be a greater percentage than certain other situations which will be a lower percentage. And I can become more familiar with my own data after running maybe 1,000 times. Then I can say to myself, you know what? I've seen this like 200, 300 times. And this is what happens generally when I see this. This is what generally will happen. So that confluence, and when that particular situation arises based on my own backtesting, then I can grade that situation as my A plus, because I know exactly what I need to do in order to become consistently profitable, because that's what it will do. By backtesting, I can cover my stop losses. I can set my, I can define the R to R. I can look at what time periods there are. I can essentially I'm generating data and data mining to fine tune my setup without spending a single penny. The reality of the situation is this, though. The years and recently going full time, spending time with my actual money, what that allowed me to do was pay for the lessons of what emotion is internally to me. And that is a very, very expensive lesson. It's a incredibly expensive. It's an incredibly expensive part of the journey towards becoming consistently profitable. So right now, I'm in the throes of backtesting. I believe I don't know why I didn't see this, because think about this. Here's a scenario. Okay, here's how novice I was, because that morphine drip of that gambling, that exposure, and the emotional burning desire. You know, Moses went up to the mountain, and then he saw God speak through the bush that was burning. Gambling, I cannot compare that to God, but essentially that is the human frailty of the sin within me that has this urge to satisfy the surface level, skin deep craving of addictive personality that has bound me, blindfolded me from truly seeing what I need to do to move towards becoming consistently profitable, because I was essentially so fascinated with the money. The money part. The money part essentially lobotomized the logical side from the emotional side, where uh, the money part latches on to that emotional side, the 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 monkey, the chimp side of me, and it just hung on to it. It just it just it just essentially just um, in certain mountains, you wouldn't find leeches in the mountains, but apparently when you go into um, certain humid areas where there's mountains, leeches will cling onto leaves and wait for a passerby so they can latch on and just cling in there and leech on like emotion to money. Okay, so the true awakening of an individual who truly want to and is ready to move towards becoming a professional day trader is essentially detaching that leech. Um, a long, long time ago, I'm 53 years old. I'm an old man. See, Barbara Walters was 93 years old when she passed away. She's healthy. I'm not. I used to eat a bag of chips in one sitting. You know what that salt would do to my whole body? My heart would race. Okay. It's hard to just sit there and study. One portion is maybe 5 or 6 chips. I ate the whole bag. So, um, so I am 53 years old. And so that's the situation, okay? So back testing. Now, where was I? And I need to go back to back testing. Now, back testing. So I need to do back testing. And the fact that I didn't know about that, that's why I'm here making this video. And that is something that um, see, if I was a professional day trader who've crossed this bridge, I would know sequentially. I would sequentially know because I crossed it. The professional day traders, they know these things. They have to cross this road in order to be considered a consistently profitable day trader. They have to cross this road. They know how instrumental it is to use backtesting. Without backtesting, see, when I look at some of these YouTube, when I look at these YouTube professional day traders, they just casually say, "Oh, you got to backtest." They just say, "Hey, you got to backtest," right? It's so obvious to them. It is so obvious to them. But the thing is, for somebody who's addicted to like the emotional draw and the simplicity of trying to do something, like trying to get something for free virtually, okay? But you can't do that. You can't just I can, maybe you can, but I can't just go into a market and expect something to be like so easy to retrieve. There's hard work involved. And that hard work essentially means like doing an enormous amount of background work to make that one trade. So, where was I? So now I'm getting back to what I was doing. Okay, so uh, essentially what happens is this. On a Saturday, on a Friday, I would make these trades without much practice. And then Saturday rolls on, and I would like study and do something else, and essentially the muscle memory part of day trading is gone. And then on Sunday, I go to church, thank God, and then I would forget further. And then Monday rolls on, and then I'm having to reset my mind to the market conditions. And chances are, if the market is not going up, I'm probably lost because I wouldn't know what to do. And I would just like go in all the way, right? And that's exactly the moment where I'm just, if I am fortunate though, then I get to relearn Monday and Tuesday, I get to relearn and pick up something and then refresh my mind. Hopefully before then, my account isn't depleted. Then when Friday rolls on, then I would have maximized my experience for that week. But the combination, the multitude of the experience is being slowly accumulated because there isn't a refresh cycle that has a consistent and potent means of generating myself and moving towards becoming a consistently profitable day trader. So that's what I did. Okay, because I was like, it's like an egg. The yolk is where the most important part is about day trading, which essentially is back testing. Okay, back testing will reinforce my own knowledge, and it'll give me practice. It'll before the market opens. It's like an Olympic athlete, a marathon runner. Okay, the marathon runner doesn't lounge around for a year eating potato chips and bagels. Okay, bagels and eating like chocolate chips and things like that. And then the next day goes on the Boston Marathon and then wins the Boston Marathon because it'll be very difficult. The reality is the individual must be doing the same thing over and over and over and over, building that muscle internally and becoming an athlete who is able to be competitive in the sports of a marathon. That is essentially what backtesting provides me. It's not I trade between 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and it's done, and then I just go on my merrily way. Uh, it is a continuous, an extreme means of every day repeating the things that I need to repeat, and then building that muscle memory, and then allowing myself to become a consistently profitable day trader. That is how important backtesting is. Somebody who's addicted, it's there's a statement called out of sight, out of mind. I now know what that means.